Hello, and welcome back to Pain Free at Any Age. By now, you've probably begun to put these tools into practice and are starting to notice the benefits of shifting out of autonomic activation and into a more regulated state. A lot of my clients experience an immediate reduction in pain with just a little attention and a few repetitions of sitting with sensation. However, there's one more piece to this puzzle that I think it's imperative that we address. We've already touched on this a little bit over the previous videos, but one big mistake that I see people making when trying to get relief for their pain is believing that the site of the pain is also the site of the problem. So typically, if you have pain in your neck, you'll go and get a neck massage, and if your feet hurt, you'll go get some orthotics. We live in a system of specialists who focus on one particular area of the body. And unfortunately, while these specialists can be invaluable for providing cutting-edge, localized treatments, sometimes in our drive to drill everything down to the smallest component, we lose sight of the big picture and we fail to get results in the process. I'm Sukie Baxter, founder of Whole Body Revolution, and I help you to rewire yourself for greater health, happiness, and success. Okay, so here's a truth. If you've had 100 massages on your neck and your neck still hurts, well, the problem probably isn't in your neck. And the same goes for every part of your body. As I've mentioned before, one of the most frequent questions that I get asked is for specific stretches that address various parts of the body. People with back pain want stretches for their backs, and people with shoulder pain want exercises for their shoulders, and so on and so forth. But I'm sure that you've heard the primary school song, the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, and the thigh bone's connected to the hip bone, and so on and so forth. Yeah, well, it's cliche, but it's true. Everything in your body is connected. Many of my clients come in with pain in one part of their body and are surprised when I start working with a completely different area. Some even kindly redirect my attention, telling me, no, it hurts right here. And we've already talked about how pain itself is a sensation generated by your brain. But now let's talk about movement patterns and how dysfunction in one part of your body can influence every other area. First of all, how do we even learn to move? And furthermore, why do we move? According to the neuroscientist Daniel Wolpert, we only have brains because we move. The function of your brain is to coordinate ever more complex movement patterns. Organisms that move have brains. Those that do not move don't. And the sea squirt, which spends its early life floating about the sea, promptly consumes its own brain as soon as it finds a rock on which to lodge for the rest of its life. It's no longer moving, so it doesn't need a brain anymore. Movement is an inherent part of life. We're constantly moving, and in fact, motor development is linked with cognition. Babies who miss movement milestones often also show cognitive developmental delay. Your cerebellum, which is the part of your brain responsible for balance and coordination, contains 50% of the neurons in your brain. That's half of all of your neurons devoted to developing movement patterns. Even more interestingly, activity in your cerebellum has been shown in fMRI studies to be linked to the parts of your brain responsible for executive function, which are your logic and reasoning skills. In short, your ability to move is connected to your ability to think. So how do we learn to move? Humans are at a severe disadvantage. As babies, we're pretty much helpless. A horse, for example, is up and running just hours after birth. But human babies take years to develop motor skills. Fortunately, we're blessed with something called mirror neurons that shorten the learning curve. Mirror neurons are little cells that read the movements of those around us. When you watch someone else move, the same part of your brain that would perform that motor skill lights up. So in this way, your brain is wired to mimic the movements of those around you. This is why we often walk like our parents. We learn to move by imitating them. Mirror neurons also play a big role in understanding the emotions and intentions of others. Belonging to a tribe or social group is a uniquely human survival strategy. Alone, we don't have a lot of resources, but communities help us to thrive. One of the ways that we signal belonging to a group is to move like them. Body language communicates our internal state and even signals things like power and status to others in a group. In short, movement doesn't just allow us to get from place to place, it's a whole language unto itself. So what does all this have to do with pain? Well, just as we inherit dysregulated nervous systems from our families, we can also learn dysfunctional movement patterns. Your mother had a back injury when she was 12 and she walks bent to the side. You never had such an injury, but yet you have the same movement pattern. Or maybe you come from a family that's really uncomfortable feeling and expressing emotions. This is often correlated with a stiff, uptight body state. Everyone in your family maybe walks with a rigid spine and a neck frozen in place. Of course, your own history of physical and emotional injury also plays into this. If you broke your leg in college and wore a cast on your knee, you might still, years later, be walking with a stiff knee as though you still wore the cast. When a joint is immobilized, it takes a matter of mere days before your brain starts to unmap that area of your body. Essentially, your brain kind of forgets that you have a joint there and finds new compensatory ways to move. And that causes systemic problems. So back to the initial topic at hand, the site of your pain is not necessarily the cause of your pain. Sure, your lower back might hurt, but it could be related to problems with ankle flexibility, or maybe your feet hurt and you think there's something wrong with your arches. But in fact, your tight hips are causing a bad gait pattern that stresses the bones and tendons in your feet. Ankle issues are related to neck pain. Tight hips affect your lower back. Clenching your abs can pull your shoulders forward. In short, your whole body is one interconnected, synergistic organism. You cannot possibly address any one part of your body without affecting all of the others. So if you've been chasing your pain around for years without getting any results, it's time to back up and get a bigger picture view. Instead of focusing on one symptomatic body part, you'll get much better and longer lasting results from taking a whole body approach to repatterning your movement. But here's the catch. Most people learn this info and they start doing stretches that address their whole body, and that's good. However, if you've developed the habit of not moving a joint or body part over the years, then you go do all these stretches and exercises and you still won't be moving that area. Remember how I said that your movement habits follow you wherever you go? Well, this is why a lot of people don't make gains in their flexibility and don't get relief for pain with just stretching, because these stuck areas remain frozen in place. If your body were a river, this tension would be the rocks in your stream interrupting the flow of movement. People tend to move around these areas even when doing stretches directly targeted at them. And this is a huge, huge part of what I work with when I treat clients, identifying the areas of their bodies that are stuck, frozen, or not moving, and helping their nervous system to relax its subconscious habit of contraction. Again, this is a subconscious habit. Simply telling your body to relax in that area usually has little to no effect. In order to treat this type of muscle tension, you must work at the biological level by interrupting the neurological signal and resetting your brain. This is where the tool of intention comes into play. Attention highlights our patterns to our conscious awareness. Intention is where we focus on a specific desired shift. Movement can be a good tool for implementing intentional change if it's used correctly to break up old neural habits and create space for new ones to arise. To get started with an exercise practice that makes whole body changes to your movement, I've included a complete 20-minute video designed to calm your nervous system, release body-wide tension, and bring your brain back into a regulated state. You can access that right under this video. But know this, simply understanding that pain is a whole body issue will leapfrog your results. You'll start to see your body completely differently, and this understanding alone is a powerful tool in unwinding pain patterns. Go ahead and check out that movement video, and I will see you in the next one.